Our next inductee, very special lady. I got to meet her last night and just loved the aura. You know, you connect with certain people and I can just sense love and compassion from her. And this lady is Karren Mundell Kowalski. She has a PhD and she's a registered nurse, which is very close to my heart since my mother is a nurse and I know how precious these people are. Dr. Karren Mundell Kowalski. She's an alumni, a class of 1961 from Frankfort High School. She graduated from Indiana University with a bachelor's degree in nursing. She has a master's degree and PhD from the University of Colorado. She was the first woman from Indiana to serve in the U.S. Army Nurse Corps in Vietnam. She is now the president and CEO of the Colorado Center for Nursing Excellence and has served as project director for 3 HRSA grants on leadership development. In 2010, she received the Florence Nightingale Award for Nursing Excellence. She has also been selected as one of the 10 outstanding young women of America and is a character member of the Colorado Nurses Association Hall of Fame. She was elected to the American Academy of Nursing in 1981 and is a fellow of the Academy of Nurse Educators in 2015. In 2014, she was selected as a top 100 alumni legacy leader in the first 100 years of the IU School of Nursing. She has served our country, she has served our community, and she's been all over the world serving our nation. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Karren Mundell Kowalski, PhD.
These are my Marty Henderson. And I have to say, it is a little bit overwhelming to be a part of this particular august group. And I want to remind everybody that in the class of 1961, the girls didn't have a lot of choices. We could be a teacher or a secretary or a nurse. And I was fortunate enough, through the great encouragement of my mother, Virginia, I was fortunate enough to choose nursing. I want to thank the committee and the phenomenal people that we met last night serving at the Farmers Bank and the reception, and it was just delightful to meet and talk with so many of you. And once I had listened to Mayor Chris, who is, when you first meet him, a little bit overwhelming. And I particularly was impressed with what's going on in Frankfort, since I'm living in Colorado now instead of here. And I think there were a lot of things that I've written about in terms of leadership that I saw in Chris last night, and of course walked right up to him and said, so how about a tour of Old Stony tomorrow morning? And then I rounded up several others who were also interested in that, and so we were fortunate enough that Chris thought that that was a good idea, and so I thank you, Chris, for that. For those of you who don't remember 1961, I was Auntie Mame in the senior high school class play. And I don't think at that time I had any clue that I would end up here. Because of Chris's comments last night, I gave a lot of thought to what it was that drove me, what it was that, the gift, if you will, of Frankfort and Frankfort High School, and how those years prepared me for what went on later in my life. that definitely was formed here in Frankfort, Indiana. And then commitment and connection and caring and confidence. And I thought about those things and I thought, well, I'll do what I probably do best, which is tell a story. After I graduated from Indiana University, I got the last job in labor and delivery. And that first year, because I was the newbie, I ended up working Christmas and with New Year's off, and I went, of course, to a New Year's party. And at the New Year's party, after a couple of adult beverages, I met the Army nurse recruiter, and she convinced me that I should join the Army and see the world. And after a couple more she convinced me that I should take a guaranteed assignment to Vietnam. Now you have to understand that I got the last job at Coleman Hospital for Women in labor and delivery. We'll not go down that road, but I ended up at Fort Sam Houston, where I learned really important things at Fort Sam Houston. I learned, for example, how to salute, how to march, how many men in a battalion. I actually low-crawled through live ammunition with an M1 carbine between my elbows and survived. Now this is really good stuff when you're going to go to the combat zone. Unfortunately, I only spent 3 days at Brooke Army Medical Center, and in that period of time, no one ever asked me if I could start an IV or draw a tube of blood, because you see, at Indiana University, nurses weren't allowed to do anything to interfere with medical education, so I hadn't done any of those things. When I landed in Saigon, I found out that I'd been assigned to the 3rd Surgical Hospital. And if you don't understand the difference between hospitals and the military, just think about MASH. We even had a Major Burns. That was not his name, but it was his function. They put me in a sedan and drove me up Highway 1 to the 3rd Surgical Hospital, which was located in the middle of the 173rd Airborne Brigade. And their job was to defend the Benoit Air Base, and all the sorties in the south were flown out of Benoit. There was probably a dozen fighter squadrons there. So the 173rd had a really big job in terms of protecting that air base. So we pull up to the gate, and here's this little snappy MP from the 173rd, very clever young man, because he knew if it was a sedan, it was either a very high-ranking officer, or if this was his lucky day, it might be female. Because you see, while I was there, there were 500 American women and 500,000 American men. So once he realized who I was, a female, he proceeded to say, his name, where I might find him, if there was anything at all that I needed, I should let him know. And I said, right. He stepped back and he motioned the car through and he saluted very snappily. He said, "Can do." And I just kind of looked at him, because they forgot to tell me at Fort Sam Houston that units that have very high esprit de corps have little sayings that they put on the end of salutes and memos and radio messages, and the 173rd is the can-do brigade. So in driving up to the hospital, the chief nurse met me and said, "Come on, just throw your duffel bag in the tent. Come on down, we're going to meet everybody. It's dinner time, they're all in the mess hall." And so we're down there introducing ourselves and so forth, and I hear a field phone. And pretty soon the mess sergeant yells out, "Incoming wounded!" Well, I just sat there. And the chief nurse said, "Well, come on." And I said, "You don't understand. I deliver babies." She was not impressed.
And so she took me by the arm and she led me up to the pre-op area. And when we got there, what we discovered was that there were not just 6 or 7 incoming wounded. There had been a major firefight and there were more than 30. And so she said to Sergeant, call down to headquarters battalion of the 173rd and tell them the 3rd surge needs blood. She turns to me and she says, Lieutenant, you are in charge of drawing off 50 units of fresh whole blood. Now, until that moment, I didn't understand that the blood bank in the combat zone is ambulatory. I looked over on the other side of the pre-op area and I saw this Spec 4 over there. He was putting up sawhorses, laying out litters, hanging IV poles, and plastic IV tubing. And I thought, holy cow, he knows what he's doing. I'm sticking with him. So we're working, and pretty soon I heard trucks. I went over, I opened the back door, I looked outside, and here are 2 huge deuce-and-a-halfs backing up. Jumping out of the back of these deuce-and-a-halfs were kids, 17, 18, 19 years old, and they were covered in red mud from the bottoms of their boots to the tops of their helmets. I looked at them, I looked at my clean cement floor, and in an instant, my mother came to me. And I said, where have you boys been? And this wonderful little PFC stepped forward. He saluted me and he said, ma'am, we've been out in the rice paddies for 30 days. We've been chasing Charlie and Charlie's been chasing us. We haven't had a hot meal and we haven't had a shower. But Sergeant Major said the 3rd surge needs blood. Can do! And I figured out in that moment that if they can do, I can do. One of the things is confidence that I learned here in Frankfort, Indiana. Now, the really good news is 17, 18, and 19-year-olds have veins like railroad tracks. I think character, commitment, connection, confidence, that's what I learned here. And that's what I carried forward throughout my career in my incredible passion and drive to make a difference for patients and for nurses. And I want to thank this wonderful community and the committee and my brother and the people here, particularly my classmates who are wonderful. Thank you very much.